an opportunity for us to really, and I'm hearing it in the dialogue, to really have conversations, important conversations that maybe we have been uncomfortable having, maybe we have felt unsure of, not wanting to offend someone. Maybe we haven't known, what to do. There are very specific things we can do, whether it's support legislation that's occurring, that's very important, whether it is taking online bystander training, and just also affirming, like, this is racist, these acts are racist, and what things can we reject in this moment too, to say, not only has this happened recently, but it has been going on, and to name that and to affirm that for folks who haven't been experiencing it. Yeah, the community has a long history in the United States anyway of facing discrimination that dates back, to World War II, if not before, and the internment camps, and I think then the almost erasure of that history. And I think that's a theme too, is sort of either a silencing or a unacknowledgement of the historical context of Asian Pacific Islanders and the Pacific Islanders as well, which is a very big topic too, and very complicated as it relates to U.S. territories and the long history there. It has served well to either not have that narrative out there about the Asian Pacific Islander experience, or really raise up and highlight the model minority myth, which is that Asians are doing really well, they're very affluent, they're very successful, and that counteracts that there's anything else. Well, that community is doing great. And so it makes there's these two things that are butting up against each other, and I think it's more comfortable. And goes to the idea too of sort of what I mentioned before about the rich diversity within the Asian community is often very much overlooked. And people just walk in front of me in line all the time. I mean, and I'm just not seen, and I have to say, excuse me, I've been standing here, I'm next in line, to, going on vacation last week and in South Carolina, and wondering, is my Asianness going to make our family, compromise our family safety as we're traveling down there, but then also as we're there. So it's a different time, and I think the community's grappling with this, as well as the many allies from other communities of color, and of course the white community as well. How can we address this, and how can we stop it? I think we're all used to saying, hey, how are you? And you expect that person to say, I'm fine, how are you? And then you both go on to do whatever. And we've been talking a lot about what does it mean when the person is honest and says, I'm not actually doing well. I was on a webinar with another company, and this very high level woman came on, and they said, welcome, how are you doing? And she's like, I am not doing well, and here are all the reasons why. And everybody was just staring at their screens. And then pretty soon and it happened to be a women's conference, but other women were like, I'm also not doing well. I'm doing very poorly, actually. And just realizing that you were kind of normalizing those feelings was really important. But I think anytime you have the opportunity to connect, and if you're curious how one of your, Asian coworkers, it's okay. I was saying when Mikkel and I were talking before, I was like, it's okay to go to them and say, how are you? And I'm asking because of all of this violence and harassment and everything. I was saying, like, we know we're Asian, so you're not going to offend us. We are so worried about offending each other that sometimes we are unable to just have those real conversations. And this is the moment to have those conversations and know that it's coming from the best of intentions, and start practicing talking about difficult things, because we are living in a world right now where the subject matter is difficult. It just is. During these attacks, there are many people just walking by and not helping and not getting involved. And there are probably many reasons for that, so I wouldn't wouldn't make any judgments necessarily, but I do think it is a moment to say, is there a safe way for me to help this person? Spill your coffee and make a distraction, and get some other people around that might be able to help this person.
If you are experiencing these feelings and you're going through that difficult time, to not be afraid to speak out about it, to connect with people, to raise it, and to give yourself that outlet, which is, I think, as you say, especially important now more than ever, because, as you say, we're not just dealing with a viral pandemic, we're dealing with a pandemic of racism within this.
We have to acknowledge it to move forward. And for those of us who've experienced it, hearing that others have is heartbreaking. At the same time, it's also a moment to say, oh, especially in this moment when I'm living so isolated, it's not just me. Other people are experiencing this. And so now I don't feel so alone. And it's a moment for allies to say, I'm going to name this. It was racist behavior. And I, hearing an ally say that, feel validated that I shouldn't have had to experience that. And that's really what you're saying when you affirm that this is what I see it. I see you. That was wrong. I'm so sorry that happened to you. And there's nothing maybe that you can do, but just being there and listening and affirming that is so important.
Well, please show some empathy and some understanding and appreciation to that. As you said, if somebody articulates that, well, this is offensive, or I prefer you do not do that, then I think it is our natural instinct to get our hackles up a little bit for various reasons. It's a very natural, all of us, myself included, and it is something to take a moment to overcome that and try to empathize perhaps with the other person.
To even have those conversations with people that know you really well are really difficult. And but the more that we do this, the more practiced we get. Practice with your friends, because they're your friends. But I think we have to start being more open to both sharing and listening.
As much as we have to take something positive out of something negative, there is a greater awareness now of this. People are actually starting to take some action. People are starting to recognize that, and the community, the APIA community, is starting to speak up about that within itself.
Give it a try and take a stand and say, that offends me, or I'm uncomfortable participating in this, and stand up and leave. And we have to start saying, we can't stay silent anymore to just say, oh my gosh, that person needs some diversity training or whatever. We are the trainers, all of us are, and we need to be more comfortable getting involved and standing up for that. And I think calling those behaviors out, calling those when we see things, it's really important. We don't have to do so disrespectfully, but I think it is time to stand up and speak out.